Hello and welcome back. Now, Chinonso Akponnor is a coordinating manager at a very important place. Now, we're talking about mental health today. Freedom Foundation is something she's very actively involved in. And when it comes to the House of Refuge, that she provides treatment and rehabilitation of drug and alcohol dependent persons. That is a major focus for her this morning. Now, when it comes to all the things she's been into, she went to the Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen. Her career spans over 13 years across different sectors, and we'll be taking a look at mental health awareness this morning. Welcome to the show, Chinonso.
Hi, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you
You're
so much
well.
for joining us. All right then. Now, a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about mental health, and it's something that we do as much as possible hope to clear this morning by talking to you. First of all, let's talk about the theme for the Mental Health Day for 2020. I believe it has something to do with providing a lot more finance for mental health awareness. Talk to us.
Well, so the theme for this year basically is greater access, everyone, everywhere. And so
Okay.
the World Health Organization is pushing for everyone to get access to
Okay.
mental health care and for everyone to become much more aware of the importance of mental health, the conversation around mental health, for us to begin to raise awareness, as a people, and for us to begin to work together to be able to come to a place where we are much more stable and we know the issues that are, that concern mental health, and we're better able to manage it. So that's the theme for this year.
Okay. Can we talk a bit about the first 5 signs that someone could have mental health challenges? So there's some things that people are told to look out for, some characteristics of people who might have those challenges. Can we talk a bit about those?
Right. So one of the things, a few of the things people are encouraged to look out for over there are simultaneous things to look out for over a period of if it persists for 2 weeks. So if a person begins to lose appetite, if
Okay.
a person who will normally, be up and about, who will normally be outgoing, becomes withdrawn over a span and it's consistent for over 2 weeks. If a person begins to have difficulty sleeping, those are some of the signs you can use to gauge if someone is having mental health challenges. Apart from having difficulties with sleeping, some people even have diarrhea. Some people become withdrawn. Other examples, for instance, if you know someone who is active on social media, the person just stops talking on social media, or sometimes they use a picture that has the black outlook, like a black picture on their DPs. Those are some of the things, and it's consistent for over 2 weeks. Those are some of the signs that we encourage. If you see someone who normally would be outgoing, normally who would be able to concentrate, if, for instance, even at work, when you notice that a colleague who would normally perform well begins to slow down and the performance is affected, you realize that they're not able to do their job like they used to, and it consistently happens. You might want to ask the person, okay, how are you doing? How can I help you? Is there any issue, any challenge that you're going through that we need to resolve? So those are some of the signs we encourage people to look out for.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on the fact that there are many different types of mental disorders. So a lot of people, when they hear mental disorder, they think of someone going crazy. They think of someone doing crazy things. But there must be other things we can share that can help explain that there are many different types of disorders to look out for.
Right. So basically, there's psychotic and neurotic. So the regular stress, the common mental health challenges that we know about, like stress, depression, those fall under the neurotic challenges, and it's now common for us to have some challenge with reacting and coping with life. when we go through a tough time. I say all the time, I've been saying all the time that sometimes even the stress of Nigeria, I mean, this weekend alone is enough to give you stress. But then if you're not able to properly position yourself in a way that you can cope through the challenges, for instance, that this weekend has brought, you realize that it affects your mental capability. It begins to affect your productivity. You begin to have a negative outlook, and that in itself, takes you down a spiral and you just don't know how you're able to cope. So apart from stress, apart from regular stress, apart from depression, anxiety, a lot of people still go through anxiety. Anxiety sometimes is common. Then, we have the more extreme cases where people go through hallucinations. They begin to see things that other people do not see. They begin to have conversations that are, that don't make sense to the regular person. Those are times when we now begin to, check to be sure, okay, how extreme do you need to see a therapist? Do you need to see a counselor? How can we help you through whatever is the trigger that's making you experience all of that challenges? And we find that a lot of people in their quest to suppress the stress that they go through, in their quest to cope, they resort to drugs. And so the effect of drugs is that it affects your brain and places you in a much more difficult condition that you're unable to actually perform at your optimum. So it's a discussion that we just need to continue to have so that people are aware that, yes, there'll be challenges in life. Yes, people will go through hard times, but then we have to make a conscious effort to say, okay, when do I need to take a break?
I
How
I
can I how
I
can I cope?
completely agree. I completely agree. Now, I wanted to touch as quickly as possible on this issue of post-traumatic stress. So a lot of people in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, they go through all sorts of traumas and then they just get up and go, and they don't believe that they could have adverse reactions to things like that or things that have happened to them. For instance, on the roads, road rage, having someone hit the car and, just moving on with life as if nothing happened. But then again, they respond or react odd whenever they hear a similar sound and things like that. We haven't touched on fear much this morning. Could we touch on it a little?
Right. So for road rage or PTSD, like as it is, one of the ways people are encouraged to speak up. People are encouraged to, even if it's a family friend, because if you talk it somewhere in your heart or somewhere in your mind, it somehow affects you as you move on with life. So it's always important to deal with when people go through traumatic experiences that they try to run away from. It shows up in their relationships with people. The effect, it just shows up even sometimes even at work. It shows up in your ability to be productive and sometimes has adverse effects on you. So we encourage people as much as possible when you go through any experience that gives you stressors or makes you or triggers you in such a way that you don't react positively. It's important to see a counselor. It's important to speak to someone about it. It's important to even we encourage people to go for therapy. And of course, some people have fear. They have fear comes from overthinking or dwelling too much on negative emotions. And so we encourage people to speak to people who have a better perspective about your life or who can encourage you to have a positive outlook, because sometimes for instance, I found that through the course of COVID we had someone who became really really afraid of life, because of the many deaths around her and her family. She became very fearful, became very anxious, in the morning before the person goes to bed, they are worried and anxious and fearful. Am I going to make it tomorrow? Because of all of the news, the bad news that I've had
Of
in
course.
in the past 1 month. But we encourage her to speak to a therapist. Okay, why are you afraid of dying?
All right.
Why are you afraid to
Now,
sleep? So
I wish we could continue this, but we are pushing it on time. But I know that we can always respond to people's questions on social media. You can use our hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC if you have some questions for Chinonso. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you for giving us your time.
Thank
Yes,
you for having
indeed.
me. Thank you.